I am going to show you guys how to do a tapestry crochet from beginning to end. I just started and I have the pattern that I'm going to use today up on my Ko-Fi, and if you go into the link in my bio, you can find the pattern for free. You can also throw me a couple dollars if you want, but you can get it for free, and then you can just follow along with me there. Which might be helpful because if I tell you what row number we're on, you're probably going to want to be on the pattern, so you're like actually know what that means. So the piece that we're working on today, if that's backwards, it says gnarly. Just a really simple piece, only 2 colors, and these are the colors I'm going to use today. You want to use high contrast colors. I'm going to show you. I think this was actually one of the first tapestry crochet pieces I did, was this. It is not high contrast enough. You can't read this. So point being, find 2 yarns that have a pretty high contrast, closer to this than this, right? That way we can actually read what's going on. I'm going to start with this color. This is, I don't usually use acrylic yarn, but I have a lot of it right now. I usually use what I used here, Lily's Sugar and Cream brand cotton yarn, and I use that with a 3.5 millimeter. But right now I'm using Karen Simply Soft. I think that's what both of these are. I'm going to use a 5.5 millimeter hook, and it says the millimeters right over here if you're ever curious. And a fun fact, this is a new ball of yarn, more or less, so I'm going to show you guys a fun way that you can grab your yarn without it unraveling. So you gotta go in, and you feel around, and there will be. Sometimes it comes out like this, but sometimes it's a little more chaotic than it should be. This is the end, and we're going to fold it. And it makes a loop. This we're going to put here. It's like we're making a knot, but instead of pulling this through and making a knot, we're going to try to show this in a way that you guys can actually see what's happening right now. A little difficult, but let me go around. Do like that. Very beginning. Grab your yarn. You've made a loop here, right? Fold it here. What it looks like, kind of like a pretzel. Sorry, you're seeing it from the back, but go under. Okay. And tighten it there. And that is how you get it on your hook without having to tie a knot. And now we're just going to chain 50, I believe. Let's look at our pattern. We're going to chain 50. 2, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 49, 50. And then we're going to chain 1. So it's going to be 51. And then we're going to go. It's a fun song, very jaunty. We just chained 50. And then we chained 1. So we chained 51. And we're going into chain 50. Okay. And then we're single crocheting. Some people like to half double crochet or double crochet into their tapestry crochets, and that's fine. You can do that as well. I am going to single crochet because I like it when everything's kind of close together. If you guys take a peek at the pattern, you'll see that I have decided that there has to be 9 rows at the bottom and top of this before we get to the text. So you're going to get a lot of just regular crochet practice in, I guess. In the meantime, if anybody has any questions regarding tapestry crochet or untangling yarn, I can get to that. This is very... So usually when your yarn is tangled, it's not in a knot, by the way. You don't need to try to like unknot it. It's just wrapped up. So you don't need to use that much force. Perfect. Okay. And now I find that the first row on the foundation chain is the hardest. It's very fiddly. So just gird yourself. Okay, so this part of the live is going to be pretty boring. It's just me crocheting 9 straight rows of green. Then when we get to the pink, it'll be more exciting. This yarn that I'm using splits very easily, so beware. So I'm going to answer all the questions that people were having all over my videos with this live, which is like, how do you keep all of your yarn to the back of your piece? How are you going to finish it? I'm going to sew in the ends. I'm actually also, I think, going to put this one on a dowel. So that will show you guys how I hang my pieces as well. And I believe I learned that technique from Destiny Makes on here. This is what I'm saying about it. Sometimes being super fiddly on the foundation chain, sometimes you really gotta just take your time, get it in. And you don't want to go too tight. That's a big thing for especially the foundation chain. When you're chaining up, make sure you keep the same tension, but keep it kind of loose. You'll know if it's too loose, and next time you can make it a little tighter, but it's better to go a little too loose than too tight, because you're gonna have a really hard time on your next row if you don't have a little space for the hook to go in. And as you'll notice on the crochet chart, or the pattern that I wrote itself, the foundation row, the one where you're just chaining, that one does not count as a row in the pattern. Yeah, I think Tapestry Crochet is perfect for beginners, because you don't need to know how to do increases or decreases or any crazy types of stitches. The way I do it is it's just single crochet and changing colors, and you're just making a rectangle or a square. But squares are rectangles, rectangles aren't squares. Yeah, so I think it's perfect for beginners. But yeah, I pretty much started out doing tapestry crochet. If you go back to like November-ish or December, that's when I first started crocheting. And I think that was the first time I posted a video of like my progress, and most of it is tapestry crochet. Because that's in my wheelhouse. I can't do those plushies or any of those sort of things. But I can do this. And if you are following along on the stitchfiddle, you can go to the little teardrop looking dude over here, and it's our progress tracker. And it will highlight the row that you're on, and then you can control it either with the arrows on your keyboard or the arrows on the side of the screen. That will guide you up and down the rows. So currently we are on row 2. I realized I forgot to mention before how we are going to chain up and turn our row. So here we are, we're on our last one. We're going to finish that chain like regular, like a normal chain, and then we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then just go into that first chain again. Then we're just going to continue that way. Sitting on my other crochet piece, every time I make a crochet piece, she's like, oh my god, thank you so much for making me a bed. And I find that the best way to hold the yarn is you're going to wrap it around your pinky and then wrap it around your pointer finger. And you get kind of close to the yarn, and that helps you just keep your tension. When I was doing just my pointer finger, my wrist was hurting a lot, and my tension was whack. So I do kind of suggest holding it like this or trying different ways to see what's comfortable for you. And then I'm just gripping my piece so far with just my middle finger and my thumb. And I'm holding my hook like this with my pointer finger kind of guiding the yarn so it doesn't slip and slide all around if I need to. When you're at the beginning of a piece, you're going to notice it does kind of curl on you. So you just have to make sure that you are uncurling it while you're going so that the V is always at the top. If you kind of just assume that the V is at the top and just crochet wherever, you might end up crocheting in the bottom, and then your piece is going to be a little twisted at the bottom. Just a note. And we are just about to turn our work and go to row 3. And we're at the end again. So we're going to finish the chain, finish the stitch, chain up, and flip it. What is my all-time favorite crochet project? That is a great question. Let's see, I have most of my Tapestry Crochet pieces are in this basket here. But I think the one that I just finished I'm really proud of. Mittens is currently laying down on it, so I can't show you. But it is 3 feet by 1.5 feet, crocheted wool. I'm allergic to wool, but I want to use it anyway. And it says, it's amazing what vast sorrows can do to open us back up to the most essential action of loving out loud. It's an excerpt from a book, chapbook I wrote as part of my senior thesis art piece in 2020 about my mom dying. It's a very big piece, and I dyed the yarn, and it looks nice. So I'm partial towards that one right now. But I am working on my most ambitious piece. Not right now, obviously, but it is, I think, 7 yarn colors. I think the most I've worked with is 3, and it's definitely a lot. It's so hard to keep all the yarn like untangled. I don't know how people do it, truly. I even tried to organize it the way that people do, and I still somehow managed to get tangled. So I don't know. I must be doing something wrong there, but I'm really excited about that one. And I think a lot of people on this app will be excited about that one too, because I'm crocheting my friend Summer's cat, Hank. Hank the cat, that I'm sure some people here are familiar with. He was a very cute little guy, and Summer's one of my besties. So I'm making an art piece for them of Hank. What are you doing? When I make my crochet charts for text, I will often use a blocky font in some other app and bring that in to stitchfiddle, because you can start from an image. I will import that image, and it's not always perfect, so then I do sometimes have to just go back and fiddle with it and edit it, but that is usually how I get my text. If I'm doing a lot of text, if I'm doing just a little bit of text, I can just write it myself. But it just saves a lot of time if I am writing like a long sentence or like a 3-foot piece, if I just bring in my own text. Okay. This is where we are now. So we are going to go 7 green stitches, 5 pink ones, a whole bunch here. So that'd be 10, 15, 20, 26 green stitches, 6 pink ones, and then to the end of the row. So this is what we're about to work on. All right, so we're doing our 7 green stitches. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We are not going to pull through. We're going to leave it here. If you do pull through and you're like, oh no, that's fine. Let go of the hook, pull it out, and we're just going to go back through. Leave the 2 stitches on there. And come over here and grab our other yarn. You're looking at the back of my piece, so my apologies, when I turn it to the front and I'm looking at the back, you'll be able to see how it looks from my point of view. This piece of yarn, hold it down with your finger, grab the end of this piece, and we're just going to hold it. You want a long tail so that you can weave it in later with a yarn sewing needle. And you're just going to hold it, okay? Just get a good grip on it. And you're going to yarn over this. So remember, we have our 2 stitches here. This is going to be that. And now we go under this V with the pink. And you'll see this green one is a little loose. That's fine. That's okay. We're just going to pull it a little bit. Not super tight, but just a little bit. And now we have the 2 pink loops. That means we are on stitch 1 of the pink. And again, we're looking back at our chart. It has 5 stitches. So I'm going to just do regular single crochet 5 times with this pink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're back at our 2 loops. Drop this one. And the way to keep it from getting tangled is don't just grab it and always put it on top. Because if you'll notice, the pink needs to go over there. So, where we are is here. Pull the pink to the side, pull the green to this side, to where you need it to be. Again, I'm going to say this over and over. You don't want it too tight. You want to be able to wiggle it around later. And you will feel if you have pulled it too tight because you won't be able to really move it. Anyway, so we're holding down this green here, which has now come from here to here. And we're going to yarn over, pull through. Pull through. This pink is a little bit loose. I'm just going to tug it a little bit. And now we have, 26 green stitches. So we're just going to go for our green stitches here. And if you lose track, you don't have to undo all of it. If I was oh my gosh, how many did I do? For some reason, people always just frog it. Maybe it's just my neurodivergence and they don't literally not know, but just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 on here, so 5, 6. Okay, so sometimes with crochet, since the stitches themselves are pretty big, they have a lot going on, sometimes it doesn't look perfect. Right, you'll notice that there's a little bit of red in that yellow, for example. A little bit of yellow in that red. That is just the nature of a crochet tapestry piece. In my experience, that's just kind of what it's going to look like a lot of the times, but you can make sure that you are doing everything in your power to make it as clean as possible, but it will still have a little bit of bleeding, sort of shifting in your words. Back to our 2 loops. Now, this pink kind of has a long way to come. So you're going to want to make sure you hold it down over there so you're not pulling the whole piece too tight. And I'm going to hold it here. I like to give it a little extra looseness. It's just the back. And you're going to yarn over and pull through like regular. Pull on that green so it's not loose. And do that same exact thing again, but now we're pulling over the green. Okay. Now we're going to finish up this row with green. And you're just leaving the pink one where it is. Don't cut it. Don't do anything crazy with it. We're going to finish our green row, chain 1, and we're going to flip it. Now you're going to see the front, and I'm going to see what you guys just saw. According to my chart, this is where we are now. Same amount of stitches at the beginning. Pink, and then 9 green ones. 3 pink, 1 green, 1 pink. 12 green, and then same amount of pink. And now, I'm looking at the back here, right? So I have to pull the green to the back, and I just like to put it over my hand because that's easier. but you're just pulling it out of the way in whichever direction you can, pulling it to the back and holding it down with your thumb. And then we're pulling over the pink, since it's one stitch further to the side. Pulling over the pink, holding that down a little. Get your grip on the pink and yarn over. All right, pull down the green if it's a little loose. And then we're just going through. Doing the same amount of pink stitches as we did in the last row. All right, pull the pink back, and put your thumb on it, hold it down. And we're going to pull the green over so that it's by the hook. Hold it down and yarn over, pull through. And we're doing 9 green stitches. And now we're at the bottom of the letter A, and we're going to do our mittens is in the way. We're doing our 3 pink stitches, 1 green stitch, and that's where we are. And we're back to our green. And we're just going to do this until we get here again, because we're just making another same exact pattern on top of this one, if that makes sense. At a certain point, I'm able to stop counting all the greens, and I just look at it in relation to the other colors. I'm like, okay, I just need to go 1 before this one if I need to go there. But that's just because I don't like counting and I don't like numbers. So I just try to minimize that where I can. So in the next row, though, we're getting a lot of color changes because it's the beginning of the rest of the words, rest of letters. Switching back, pull that yarn across, pull that yarn over here, hold them both down, yarn over, pull through, and go to the end. All right, and we are turning again. And now you guys are seeing the back. So hopefully that's helpful to see as we go. So this one, I'm going to turn you guys around again. Now we are on this row. So same amount of stitches at the beginning, 7, and then only 2 pink, 3 green, 5 pink, 4 green, 2 pink, 2, 4, 6 pink, 1 green, 2 pink, 2 green, 2 pink, 1 green, 1 green, 1 pink, and then we're going to the end with the green. Okay? This is where we are now. And it's highlighted because you click on this button here. And to be clear, when you are working from the back, you are reading your chart backwards. When you're looking at it from the front, you're reading it right to left. When you're looking at it from the back, you're reading the chart left to right. If instead you are reading the written pattern, you don't need to think about that because the written pattern will always be doing that for you. And we're at the end of the Y. You're going to pick up your other color. We're going to do 2 stitches in your second color, in your text color. Have our 2 loops. Pick up your green. I'm going to do 3 green stitches. Pick back up our pink, and we're going to do 5 pink stitches. And I have a bit of a knot here, a bit of a tangle. Just going to pull and stop. All right, we're switching our color. Doing 4 green stitches. Right. Pick the pink back up. 2 stitches. Doing 1 stitch. So that's it. And this one we're going across 6. This is where we're at so far. And we're gonna go up on our chart to the next row. And for this one, I guess I can just show you this. Okay, 7 green, 5 pink, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, end of row. Just in case it's like helpful to like hear it and see it. So now we're just gonna go for it. Again, I am looking at it from the back, which means that I am reading my chart left to right, which you guys noticed when I was pointing out where we were going. I showed you left to right. So probably don't need to count every stitch again for you guys. Either you'll follow along or you'll see what's happening. So you'll notice when I'm working from the back, or like, yeah, I'm from the back, I'm always pulling my yarn colors back, and that's how you make sure that they're not peeking through the front. That was one of my asked questions on my TikToks. And okay, so sometimes your yarn, we pulled this back and it's like in the middle. So you might trick yourself into thinking you've already crocheted through this, but you have not. Move it over. Just physically move the yarn as close to that pink stitch as you can, so that you know where you're going. And that also helps kind of eliminate some of the muddiness that some people were complaining of. And another way to keep your yarns from getting tangled is you'll notice that like my pink is over here and my green is over here. That just helps me from getting them tangled. And we're flipping it. And this is our back so far. Get back, right. All right, and now we are on our next row. I will show you the screen again. This is the row we're on. And this is what we have so far. We're going to go up a row on our stitch fiddle. Here we are, and we're starting over here now because I'm on the back of the piece. And starting to form our G. This is our A that we are about to add that line across. This is our R so far. This is our L. And try to grip everything gently. Goes back to not trying to choke out the yarn. This is not a fish trying to escape you. You don't grip it to death. Just a gentle hand. It takes some practice, but and this, you're not like, it's not trying to run away. I promise. Just a gentle hand. That's the background so far. The back. See this one? I wanted to make sure that I was not pulling it too tight, so I made it a little too loose. That's okay. I don't care. This is the back. Who's gonna see it? Besides you guys right now. And see, I was about to put the pink yarn over here, and that would have tangled it, because you want to keep it under the green. So, all right. So now we're on to the hook of the R. So instead of going all the way across again, just doing one green right now, and that's the beginning of the R with the hook. That's what our N looks like now. This is where we are right now. Oh my gosh. And if your hands start to hurt, make sure you give it a little stretch or give it a little massage. Because if you get tendonitis or carpal tunnel, you're going to have to take a break for a while. That's a lot of self-care. I have chronic pain, so crocheting hurts me every so often. But I can't give it up, so just gotta stretch a little bit. And then there's only a couple rows left of this until the word is done, and then we're just finishing it off with a few rows of green, and then the piece will be done. This is Mittens. It's my little baby. Another reason that you might have yarn peeking through the front, because I just did a little silly thing, was if you put your hook through here and it catches on one of your like bridges of yarn, you might bring it through the other side. So just beware of that. If you notice that it's pulling through, just undo that stitch and pull that opposite color yarn back to the back and hold it there. So now this is most of the text finished. We're just gonna keep the L going a little bit and then green over the rest. And then if you have your scissors on you, which I don't think I do, so I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, just because I can cut it at this point. You can keep it dangling for the rest of the time until you get to the end if you want, but no reason to. Remember, we're going to leave a long-ish tail, like 2-3 inches. All right, that's the end of our pink. So the rest of this is going to be green, and then we're going to weave in our ends and put it on a wooden dowel that can hang on the wall. There we go. Gnarly. All right, I'm going to do the rest of these rows off camera, and I will tune back in when I weave in the edges, weave in the ends. And all right, so I am on to the very last row of this whole thing. So I'm gonna do that row with you guys here, show you how we finish and all that fun stuff. So now we're getting towards the end of our crochet piece. The dowels I got from Joann's or Michael's or maybe even Walmart. These are just 12-inch dowels that are 3/16 of an inch circumference, I think. And then I think all in all this piece will have taken about 2.5 hours. Okay, and here we are on the last stitch. We're gonna do regular yarn over and go through. So now we're at the very end. We're gonna pull out this loop a little bit. And again, my scissors are on the other side of the room, so I'm gonna use an X-Acto knife. Leave a bit of a tail. And now we have this big loop in this tail, right? We're gonna pull this tail through the loop. There you go, tied it up. And now this is the piece. And we're gonna get our yarn needle. Again, this is a thick needle. It either comes in plastic or metal. Clearly I have the metal one, the really big eye, and it is dull on top. So you're gonna go to all of your loose threads and you're going to thread your yarn needle and just weave it through. You can go in any direction. I think I'm gonna go horizontally here. And I have a video on my TikTok that is a little bit more clear, because it's kind of hard to show you from this angle. But I'm gonna go through a bunch of the stitches and just pull it through. So I pulled it through to here. You could go farther. I don't care. I'm just hanging this up. But in the TikTok video that I did, sewing in the ends, I tell you how to be a little bit more secure if you're doing clothes, and that would just be to sew it in more directions for a greater length rather than like 1.5 inches. Okay, now I'm gonna hop down to this one, and I like to twirl it, spin it a little bit, just to make sure that the end is as like thin and pointy as I can get. And since this one's a different color, we're gonna try to just sew through the pink. And we're just putting it under, see, do you see where it is? Just under those first stitches there. Okay, and now for the dowel. This one might be a little hard to show from your point of view, like from the back, rather than here, but I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to pull out 2 dowels, one for the top and one for the bottom. And I'm going to go through here. Awesome. Okay, pull through. Okay, so now you have a long tail, a loop on your hook, and under the yarn. Put the dowel between the crochet hook and the yarn. But this. I was wondering, I was like, why does this hook feel so much bigger? I picked up the wrong hook. I don't know if you noticed, but I have 3 hooks here. I accidentally picked up the 6.5 instead of the 5.5. I'm just going to switch out here. Okay. You'll notice that I'm kind of in the middle of the dowel. That's okay, because I can just move it and I'm done. But I can still give myself as much of the dowel to grip as I need to at the moment. Alright, and you can end it on the dowel the same way. Pull back the yarn, leave a tail. Okay, so I showed you that from my point of view so that it could be more helpful, hopefully. And now you're going to do the same thing to the bottom. You can just flip it over and just crochet the same way. And then pull up a long piece of string, and you're going to just tie it to the ends here. String, yarn. And there you go. So once you put the dowel on the bottom piece, and if you pin it to a mat, usually you'll want to get it a little wet, pin it to a mat or a towel or a cushion of some sort on all sides and pull it so that it's all equal, and you leave it to dry, and it will dry more cleanly. I will show you. I have pinned this one. This one I got soaking wet because I dyed the yarn, and then I pinned it, and so now instead of the edges curling up, it's all just flat and equal. That's that. You will weave in these ends here the same way that we wove in all the other ends earlier in the live, and that is your piece. Yeah, this video, the whole entire live, like the 2.5-ish hours, will be available on YouTube if you want to hear all my tips and follow along, or just listen to it like it's a podcast. I don't know, but that's what's up. Thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, have a great Saturday.